How important is it for them to know that they can say, I'm hurting and that I need help?
Oh, they have to be able to. Many people have lost their lives suffering from it.
A real good starting place for people is to realize that post-traumatic stress disorder is actually a neurological injury. It changes the neural pathways in your brain, and you can see it on a brain scan. And they can say, oh, yeah, there it is right there. That person is injured, and it's a bugger to treat.
It's so important that they understand that they have communities and individuals standing behind them. I challenge the federal government to do more for our veterans every single day.
Adam Soos here for Rebel News. The Rolling Barrage is a coast-to-coast motorcycle ride that raises funds and awareness to help veterans and first responders deal with post-traumatic stress disorder, or post-traumatic stress injury as the organizers prefer it to be known. I'm on location on Veterans Way here in Okotoks, Alberta, to speak with supporters of this event and some of the riders to learn about their efforts and involvement in this critical initiative. For any servicemen or women out there who are watching this, if you are struggling with PTSD, I want to thank you for your service. Your nation owes you a debt that cannot be fully repaid whatsoever, and you are never alone. All Canadians who enjoy the privilege of living in peace and prosperity do so thanks to your sacrifices, and they stand with you. If you are struggling, please do reach out for help.
As Okotokians, we've always really appreciated everything that the veterans have done for us. Especially in our Rotary group, we do have a lot of veterans who have ridden in the convoy. We thought we would support the veterans, the first responders as well, and we actually ended up donating $500 for their gas.
I support veterans any way that I can, and to show these people that suffer from a problem that really wasn't talked about for so many years, to show them support and welcome to Okotoks.
Any support that the veterans can get, they should get, and that's why we're here today.
As you're riding through these towns, it really hits you hard. So I try to support them whenever I can, and that's why I'm out here today.
I come down every year since they've been doing this for PTSD awareness, and some of the stories is just amazing and fantastic. And we need to do more support for any veteran, because they work to give us our freedoms.
We've been journeyed from Nova Scotia to here. We joined up with the Rolling Barrage, and if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. So we owe them this whole journey. This wall is called Service Not Forgotten, and it's some place we offer people like yourself that come by to look at our trailer. We offer them a place to honor their loved ones that have been in the service.
It's nice to see the community conglomeration, like we get to be a part of this. It's honestly, I'd say, one of the biggest honors I have in the fire department is being a part of these big things, because as much as there is mass awareness of these problems that do stipulate in the first responder world, the military world, and everything in between, it is nice to be a frontline cause in changing that. I've been bared witness to some of the not so pleasant things of the fire service, and a lot of my colleagues have. So when we see this community, it's nice to know that safety net it's still reinforced, right?
Things like this save lives. The reason that these save lives is because the person that doesn't put up their hand, that person is at risk. The hardest phone call I've ever made in my life was the first phone call asking for help. That was back in 2017. It was a 1,000-pound telephone. Rides like this, where everybody's having the conversation about post-traumatic stress disorder and mental health, just having that conversation says that it's okay to put up your hand. It's those that don't put up their hand that are at risk, and everybody here knows way too many folks with suicide. Way too many.
Especially like Korean law enforcement, we want to try to break down some barriers for PTSD, because it's super important. I think in years past, we haven't had really a whole lot of support for mental health, and this is amazing because it just it's encouraging people to come forward, and if you need to speak about it, then you get the help that you need. So I think this is fantastic.
When we talk about what's happening with the Rolling Barrage and raising awareness, and actually one thing that I think is really important is changing the stigma around PTSD. Our serving military, our veterans, our first responders, I mean, they're the ones that run towards a fire, towards a gunfight when most people are running away. And we have to acknowledge that. And what's happening with this ride is really creating a whole new conversation around that, changing the stigma. The ride itself is therapeutic and bringing a lot of these individuals that have experienced really, traumatic events in their life, getting them back out to public and understanding that they are not alone, that there's a group of them. Personally, myself, of course, my father was a veteran. He was also a first responder. My mom was a nurse. So it's very personal to me. To be able to grow up in a family and understand the impacts of what can happen, of being in that, working in that whole field and understanding what the impacts happen.
We call it wind therapy. So wind therapy, it's being unplugged, you're not on your electronics, and you're just concentrating on the ride. And when you're on a motorcycle, if you're not paying attention, you're going to die. So it kind of brings us back to that heightened state that we kind of like. We thrive in the heightened state, in the emergency fight or flight mode. We're happy there. Yeah. And when you're on the bike, especially in a big group, like today, I don't know, there was probably 80 bikes rolling in. You got to be on your toes, and that feels good. It's also the sense of community. PTSD is an injury of disconnection, okay? And one of those disconnections is the social disconnection. People tend to hole up. They don't go see their friends. They stay in their basement, or they just break contact. When we bring them back together, that community is healing. Because if disconnection is the injury, connection is the antidote, or at least an antidote.
How important is it for them to know that they can say, I'm hurting and that I need help?
Oh, they have to be able to. Many people have lost their lives suffering from it.
How important is it that Canadians at large, some of us don't understand, we enjoy these freedoms, we enjoy these privileges because men and women in the armed services sometimes make those sacrifices, whether it be their lives, their mental health, whatever it is. How critical is it for people to understand that?
Very, very critical. We're very blessed for what we have here.
Now, one thing that I read that was incredibly interesting on the website for the Rolling Barrage is this notion of considering it post-traumatic stress injury rather than disorder. Can you comment on that?
It's, first of all, it's not a woke word, calling it PTSI instead of PTSD. Yeah. It's more accurate. Yeah. So a real good starting place for people is to realize that post-traumatic stress disorder is actually a neurological injury. It changes the neural pathways in your brain, and you can see it on a brain scan. And they can say, oh, yeah, there it is right there. That person is injured, and it's a bugger to treat. Yeah. Healing happens, and there is hope, and you can heal. I'm testament to that. That's what my show is about. But it is a bugger, it is tough, and that's why I've got my show together. It's an aggregate for healing modalities. So everything that I can find that works, I bring them on the show. Everything from magic mushrooms to peer support groups and everything else that I can find. I bring them on to Operation Tango Romeo, and then it's a place where people can go shopping. Yeah. And say, hey, I've always wondered about this. I've always wondered about that retreat, or about psychedelics, or whatever, or ketosis. Yeah. And they can tune in, find what works for them, so I can meet them where they're at, and hopefully they take the next steps to call for help.
How critical is it that folks, whether it be law enforcement or the military, there's a sentiment of being tough and independent. How important is it that folks know that there isn't a stigma, that they can ask for help?
It's very important. As Josh has indicated, it's very important for folks of all walks of life, not just first responders, law enforcement, military, just members of the public have been through so much that the last number of years to understand that it's okay to ask for help. It's all about recognizing, asking for help, and getting that help and embracing it. And that's how we get to go forward and get better, get healthier. And we do that together as a community.
A lot of people move here for the support that we show, and they've made this a permanent stop on the tour because of the support that we show.
It's really hard when you've not had that connection of understanding of what PTSD is. But I highly recommend that you hear some of the stories that the veterans do talk about at the end of each night or each time that they've done the rolling in each different. Their stories are amazing. And to have that connection is to join the Legion or come to some of the events and things that Legion put on. We do a lot for the Legion do put a lot on for community and everything else. But it is hard to understand and know what to say but if just being there, just listening sometimes is all you need.
They don't go into detail what they've been through because a lot of them can't talk about it or won't, but at least they can talk about what they're feeling. Yeah. And that's so important because many of us today, we have not seen or what they've gone through. And we're lucky to do that.
It's very important. I will say the dynamic has shifted quite dramatically in the fire world specifically. I know across most frontline services, police, fire, EMS, search and rescue, the culture has shifted dramatically. I just got back from the Jasper deployment myself, and the first thing they ask is not anything about equipment, not anything about damage. Do you guys need to go and take a break? Do you need to go and get resources made available to you? I just want to stipulate it because I've been down this path myself. You're not alone. Your friends are there and they were there from the start. They didn't go anywhere. There's differences you may have had. There's things that may have come up in your career, but it does not change a thing. At the end of the day, we're not invincible. We do need those helps. Those resources are there. If it's a stranger that you've worked with or someone you've worked with for 20 years, it doesn't matter. They will help you or put you on the right path to getting help, and there's no shame in that at all.
Now, I've had the opportunity when I was a social worker in the past. Some people have a hard time maybe communicating, connecting with other peoples, maybe because of what they've been through. Animals can help them to bring that out. Is it maybe easier for someone maybe who's built up some walls, is trying to protect themselves, to sort of let that guard down when they're dealing with an animal?
Very much so. Horses don't lie. They will reflect how you treat them. If you're nervous and skittish around them, they can pick that up. If you're too aggressive, they'll let you know. And it's a perfect mirror for people to learn how they may be coming across to other people and not realize. The Rolling Barrage has been supporting Can Praxis, where we run programs that are specialized therapy and education programs for the injured veterans with PTSD, their spouses, family members, kids, etc. And Rolling Barrage has been very helpful in helping us be able to help others. It's a key component using our horses to help the veterans that are hurting feel relaxed, understand how they may be coming across to other people. The horses provide instant feedback, either in a gentle or maybe in a little more straightforward manner if they so desire. Yeah. So we're very fortunate to have the opportunity to work with Rolling Barrage.
So many of these people who serve, sometimes they give their life, sometimes they give their mental health. Do you think our government needs to be doing a better job? Obviously, local legions help them, but do you think our government could do a better job to support them?
Absolutely. When they come out and become a civilian, I don't think there is much support out there for them, and they really need that for sure.
The government could do so much more for all the troops and all the first responders.
I don't think we get the support that they need. They could get all the support that they should get, and I wish we could give them more.
I find that our healthcare system doesn't step up the way that it should for people who have mental health and PTSD in ways that it should be. I do have a few coworkers who did previously, or who are currently EMS first responders, and they have a lot of PTSD from what they see in the field as well. And there isn't support for them, whereas I know of a lot of people who do have a friend's wife. They support each other in the instance, whereas I feel that, their companies should be stepping up to the plate instead of just by word of mouth.
It's so important that they understand that they have communities and individuals standing behind them. I challenge the federal government to do more for our veterans every single day, especially when it comes around mental health and the support that they need. And that's why we continue to try to shine a light on this here in Okotoks and try to create such great reception for them so that they know this community, a community I live in, appreciates everything that they've done for our country.
Canadians especially are most vulnerable, like those struggling with post-traumatic stress disorder, need proper care, not assistance in dying. Directing people with mental illnesses or trauma towards ending their own lives is evil. If you agree, sign our petition at helpnothomicide.com.